Nagra are deemed to be one of the best portable reel-to-reel tape recorders ever to be built. They didn't really make very much in the way of large format machines apart from the Nagra II. Most of the machines were designed for broadcast quality of the highest standards. Quite often they were used for film. The film machines usually have a thing called pilot tone, which is basically the synchronizing pulse, which allows you to synchronize the tape recorder with a camera. These are just a few of the more commoner style machines. We have, for instance, the Nagra IS, which can only take the 5-inch reels. We have behind it probably one of the most widely sold versions, the Nagra IV. These machines can take larger format reels. You can change the lids on them so they can get bigger spools into here. One of the ones that wasn't used as much would be the Nagra IV stereo, which has a dual meter movement, so that you can monitor both stereo channels at the same time. These machines, from what I've read, were made especially for Kennedy, for surveillance, and the machines basically became widely used as small, miniature, high quality tape recorders. These machines again can take up to 7-inch reels with the lid off or with an adapted 7-inch plastic lid cover. The recorders had one big flaw where the pinch roller, when in the play position, ready to play, was always touching the capstan. This Nagra IV stereo, you can see here that you can see a green needle. If I start the machine up, you'll see behind it there is a red needle. This shows the two different channels recording or replaying at the same time, so being able to balance the tape is very easy. All of the machines have these little indicators here. This one tells you that the capstan is running at the correct speed, and this one tells you how strong, or if there is, a pilot signal. So if I put it into play mode, you can see there's no pilot signal, but the capstan motor is locked at the right speed. If, for instance, the machine should be shaken or something should happen where the capstan is put under pressure, which I shall demonstrate, you see it goes out. The Nagra III tape transport is relatively basic. You have features on it such as rewind. You put it into the rewind position and that will then rewind the tape. You have your play as you've seen before, but for fast forwarding you press a button here to give the fast forward option. Fast forward wasn't really something that you'd use on a machine like this, because the idea was you do the recording in the field, and regardless whether it was right or wrong, you carried on recording so that you could edit it at a later date. The Nagra IV and the Nagra IV stereo, the tape transport remains relatively the same, except instead of the rotating arm you've got this lever. This allows you to be able to do things like rewind and fast forward as well, operating a switch here. Again though, with this machine you would put it into the play mode, you put it into play, and then you'd have to push that forward to get the speed, although this machine's not going to do it at the moment because the batteries are getting flat. These later machines, the Nagra IV and the Nagra IV stereos, has this counter wheel. When the machine is engaged into play mode, this counter, as you can slowly see there, is slowly moving, will count the tape by the roller going around the tape going around the roller at the bottom. You can then adjust this back to 0 or wherever you want it to be by hand, sort of a 0 reset rather than a push button that you'd normally find on many other type of tape recorders. Though it looks like as if the pinch roller is touching in stop mode, it's actually quite free. When you put it into play mode, the pinch roller moves just a fraction, and when you take it out of play mode, it disengages. This makes the pinch roller's life a lot longer, and it's one of the bigger modifications between the 3 to the 4. The Nagra IS is quite an unusual machine. Unlike the other 3 and 4 series, it cannot take any larger than 5-inch reels. There's no tape counter on this machine. It is designed to be able to record a pilot tone and do all the usual things you'd expect from a professional tape recorder used for film or professional broadcast use. However, the big difference between this machine is that, unlike the Nagra III and IV, they only have one capstan motor. Same with the Nagra SN, there is only one capstan motor, which drives the take-up spool and the rewind spool. This recorder has 3 motors in it, one for each reel and one for the capstan. This is an inside view of the Nagra IIIs. As you can see, one motor drives everything. Moving on to the Nagra IV, again the same thing. You can see a big difference here where the speaker on the Nagra III is under the main faceplate, but here you've got a speed selector. A speed selector on the Nagra IIIs are on one of the sides of the tape recorder. Between that and a Nagra IV mono machine, you still see the electronics there, but some of the times these are disabled or changed so that only one kind of standard of speed or recording can be made. And inside the machines you can see different styles of electronics. All modular cards inside. Everything's designed to be interchangeable easily. You can see that although this one's been the mono machine, it is very, very packed out inside with the power regulation circuits and the audio circuits. The only space seems to be is that, and that is for where the capstan motor sits. And if you have a look at the stereo version, very similar, except you've got doubled up boards. Boards are more populated, and one of the other differences is the PCB in the bottom, which you can't see on here, is different shapes, different styles. The Nagra IIIs, even though a lot older and mono, are even more packed. The electronics on these are a little bit harder to swap. Although it's on boards, every single board has solder tags on it, which makes things for changing a lot more difficult. The later machines used gold-plated plugs to be able to swap things around. The Nagra SN is all modular inside. You've got several different boards in here that can be taken out, exchanged very quickly. You've got this large capstan motor here which drives the tape and the take-up reel. This machine doesn't have as such an electronic rewind facility. It doesn't have a fast forward facility. What you would do to rewind the tape is you have a button here, you press that and you lift this small lever out. You then pull this armature here, which is the play, and pull it back, which gives you rewind, and then you can rewind the tape by hand. The main reason for this is to save on battery life, but also it saves on electronics, making the machine as small as possible. Inside the machines, on all the tape arm tensioners, you've got these little tensioners which sense the pressure on the tape. They have a cord, a metal string going back to a brake, and that will apply and disengage a clutch mechanism underneath here, so that it keeps the tape tension as accurate as possible, so that if the machine is thrown around a bit, the tape doesn't come slack, or come away from the heads or anything like that. Same again, you've got one down here, but this one's less sophisticated as the one on the top, as it just operates a brake.